Hello, I'm Greg Smith, COO of Alerio Gold Corp. Very pleased to be able to provide an introduction to the company and our advanced Tassawini Gold project located in Guyana, South America. Tassawini is an exploration and development stage project, so I will be making a lot of forward-looking statements. I invite you to read the slide here and as well see the additional cautionary language in the presentation and on the website, especially as it relates to our historical resource estimate. Alerio Gold has proven management with decades of experience in exploration and mining, particular in the Guiana Shield, which hosts the Tassawini project. Tassawini has a historical resource of almost 500,000 ounces, and we'll look at that in more detail in the coming slides. Significant amount of money previously invested into the project, and that's important both establishing that historical resource and as well as we'll see some existing infrastructure. Strong mineral titles that are licensed for mining, and we believe a jurisdiction in Guyana that is one of the better in the world for supporting exploration and mining activities. Guyana is located in northernmost South America. It's English-speaking, British rule of law, very democratic, stable government, an established mining act, and historically mining and gold mining in particular has been very important for the economy of Guyana, and the government very much supports resource investment. I think that's shown by the increase in the activity in Guyana recently, a number of companies raising additional funds, completing exploration, expanding existing resources, and as well, significant M&A activity. So we're very happy to be working in Guyana. In terms of the management, Jonathan Chalice, CEO and director, more than 30 years of experience in the industry, both technical and capital markets experience, with additionally Jeff Balderson, Al Fabro and Lee Grabber, again, decades of experience. Myself, I'm an exploration geologist, more than 25 years experience, most of that in the same sort of rocks in these Precambrian structurally controlled gold deposits like what we have at Tassawini. Tassawini is located in the Guiana Shield. This is where these greenstone gold deposits are hosted, along with its twin, and in West Africa, the West African Shield, hundreds of millions of ounces of historic gold production, existing resources and reserves here. Really one of the best gold endowments on the planet. And even with that history, some real good recent discoveries, some new mines being put into production. So we really think we're in the right geology at Tassawini. In Guyana, the reason why it's a little bit underexplored compared to some other areas is that it's got some challenging infrastructure. We benefit at Tassawini by some previous investment there. We've got an existing camp and an airstrip on site, existing tidal river capacity. So this will certainly go a long way to ensuring that the money gets spent in the ground and expanding the historical resource and testing the additional targets that we have. In terms of Tassawini, again, the investment included almost 50,000 meters of drilling allowed for the establishment of that historic resource, metallurgical testing. All of that has evolved into a really good understanding of the controls of the mineralization at Tassawini. You see here this regional image. So this is tens of kilometers again, Tassawini project located here. And the folding and faulting that's associated with the gold mineralization. And what we see on this large scale, we also see right down to the outcrop scale. So this is an outcrop, some of the gold mineralization at Tassawini. And again, you can see the folding and the faulting there. And all of that work, all of that understanding is very important to being able to have confidence in the historic resource and being able to test the additional targets that we have on the project. The historic resource is a real good underpinning of value for the project. So almost 500,000 ounces, good open pit grades ranging from 0.7 up to 1.7 grams per ton. These are relatively shallow ounces. This is a pit constrained resource. It is historical, so we are not treating this as a current resource. Work was done by SRK back in 2009 and 2010. And again, almost 50,000 meters of drilling that went into this, and that's meant that the historic resource, the bulk of it was actually in the more secure indicated category. So these are some images, some maps. We've got cross sections on the left-hand side, plan maps on the right that show all of that detailed work that went into the interpretation of the gold mineralized zones, which you see in the gold color, the associated intrusive rocks in pink, And then all of the drill traces, that's the detailed drilling that was used to, again, establish a really strong and reliable interpretation for the deposit. Along with all of that structure, we've got some secondary controls, which are preferential mineralized lithologies. You see here, this one in particular giving you an upgrade in both the width and the grade of the structure, and this provides some additional targets on the project. So we've been looking at the historic resource area here. We've got another advanced target, which is the Sonne zone. It's about as large as the historic resource on surface, but as you can see, it's had a lot less drilling. So we'll now look at some images in particular here for the historic resource that details the resource. So this is a longitudinal section. Again, these are all the detailed drill holes that were in there. A couple of takeaways here: the real consistent nature of the mineralized zone. So basically all of these holes are hitting mineralization, as well a really nice high-grade core. So this darker portion here is contoured at more than 2 grams per ton, so giving us again some really good open pit grades, and obviously some highlight holes that have gone through the center of this deposit. One of our first exploration targets is that these zones are open at depth, again relatively shallow drilling down to about 125 meters. So these are the solids that make up that historic resource. Again, another of the principal exploration targets that we have is you can see here that a number of these solids are basically just limited by the extent of that previous drilling. So they're completely open in at least one direction, and in most cases 2 directions, and that provides, again, some really low-hanging fruit, if you will, in terms of some near-surface targets for some additional drilling and expansion. Stepping back a little bit, one of the primary tools that we use to define these anomalous areas and the targets is soil sampling. So these colored maps represent the anomalies, the hot colors obviously being the higher values within the golden soil anomalies. This is a regional map here, several tens of kilometers long. This is the Tassawini anomaly here in the south, and then it's more detailed here on the right-hand side. You can see in this smaller box the historic resource area. This is the Sonne area, again providing a number of additional targets, in particular a number of undrilled additional targets outside of those areas. Underlaying that on the drilling, again, just you can see that these zones, again, the anomalies continue beyond the limits of the previous drilling. Looking at the Sonne zone, so it's about half a kilometer away from the historic resource area. Again, relatively sparse drilling is defined 29,000 ounces there, but when you look at the complexity of the interpretation, certainly you can see that some additional drilling is needed to connect the dots, if you will, and expand the resource there. And again, the anomaly on surface, the golden soil anomaly, is as big in size as the main Tassawini historical resource area. So we certainly look at both the Sonne North and Sonne South zones as the primary targets for expansion here on the Tassawini project. In addition to the soil geochemistry, one of the other tools we have is geophysics. We're now starting to get a third dimension, so the geophysics is looking below surface. You can see again these hot colors, the reds and the yellows here associated with the historic resource area. So this is giving us confirmation that these zones continue to depth, and again, that's one of our targets, is to continue drilling below the historic resource area. And we also really like the fact that here in the southern zone, so again, hasn't been any drilling in this area, we see as well confirmation anomalies that certainly point to the zone being open there to the south. So you put all of that together, we believe we've got great potential to expand the resource in the immediate historic resource area, both along strike and down dip. We've got the primary target, which is the Sonne zone, which is well defined by this golden soil anomaly, by the geophysics, by trenching and auger sampling as well, and then a number of other undrilled and untested anomalies, which provide some real excellent upside potential for the Tassawini project. In addition to Tassawini, we've got a second project, which is the Harpy Gold project, located about 100 kilometers south of Tassawini. There hasn't been a lot of previous exploration here at Harpy. It's located in the right geology. It's actually adjacent to the Aurora gold mine property. It's got the extension of the geology that hosts the deposits there. It's a long strike, if you will, in terms of the trend of this mineralization. So we think it's really well positioned. Again, not a lot of previous exploration, but we're really excited to get in there and do some first pass sampling on Harpy. In terms of the news flow, as I mentioned, we'll be getting in and drilling, both confirmation drilling for the in the historic resource area, looking to then upgrade that into a current resource and expansion as well. Again, along strike and down dip, ultimately putting that into a PEA, preliminary economic assessment, and putting some economics on the deposit. In conjunction with that, we'll as well advance our environmental impact statement. That's the one step that's required with the mining licenses that we have to then actually be able to go in there and start mining. In terms of the capitalization table, so after the transaction and to acquire 100% of these projects, we'll have a little under 74 million shares outstanding. Money in the bank to again get on site and start the exploration. So that's the introduction to Tassawini and as well our Harpy Gold project located in Guyana, South America. We've got a contact information here, so if you're looking for additional details, please contact us here at info@aleriogold.com. And with that, thank you for your attention.